Okay, then we go up, setting up everything. Okay, you will see me switching around desktops. It's a feature Windows also has since Windows 10, and it's a way of working if I would have the overview where things are hidden at. Um, we imagine that this PC has is our development server. It can have a graphical user interface, but I won't recommend it. And for the sake, I would just go to the folder workshops, which I created for this, and emulate that this is our server. And okay, Trufi backend. We'll create here server folder for that. This is, for example, port or dev, and then this will be our virtual server. And then I will also simulate that we go to SSH into that server, and so this is our command line. You will get in there if you SSH into the server, and SSH is a command line utility and a standard to get into service and to administrate them from a command line. You can SSH is included in Windows versions from 10 onwards. So if you have a Windows 10 or Windows or even 8, 8. If you have an 8 or higher, you can find the SSH command if you execute CMD or PowerShell. It's also SSH is also usable on Windows, so you can surely SSH into a Linux machine from your Windows machine. Okay, we are going to install now the required files. Sudo is maybe you know also, sudo is a command to execute following commands as root, as super user, as administrator, as you would say in Windows terms. And this is because normally you are an unprivileged user. You can't do anything. You can't touch the system. If I would run a command and install whatever, for example Flatpak, I already did that, it would complain about missing the permissions, and sudo allows me to be root and to be the root user, the administrator user. So if I would now execute sudo apt install Flatpak, I will come to apt in seconds. It will prompt me for my user password, and depending on rules globally set up, it will grant me access or not, and then execute the command. And yeah, that's probably this. And we're going to install some things we need on the production server, which is Git. Git, you know, maybe as a developer, don't need to explain it. It's a versioning tool we need and use for collaborative working on documents, notably code. Then we use Docker and docker.io and Docker Compose. Docker is a main engine. It's Docker itself. And Docker Compose is which makes it really easy to create containers. And containers are virtual isolated systems, and they are used for security reasons and of course to simplify things, because imagine you need to if to provide in order to provide a service, you need to set up 5 different services, software services, on your computer. You won't do that because it's maybe too hard to install, hard to configure, and a container. If you container everything and you just provide the admin like me with a configuration file, and the admin knows how to execute Docker or Docker Compose, the admin can just say Docker Compose and the subcommand up. So Docker Compose up, and you're ready. Everything is set up, and the network is clear depending on the configuration, and you can start straight away opening ports or configuring your internal web server, and then redirect traffic to the services in the container. So probably need for this admins like me to set up things. No more hassles of hours of configuring things, and possibly also troubleshooting involved. No, Docker simplifies that with only and boils it down to only execute one command, and before that to modify the configuration files, the meta files, the Docker Compose beforehand, or to run a custom script provided by the developer. This is Docker. And we also now install it. It's everything already installed on my computer, so it does not will not do anything. I will also switch around the commands. With my arrow key up, I can go up in the history, and with the arrow down key, I can go down in the history to the to the last command I execute, which is this. And if you see, I can make huge use of that. I can find commands I 3D install to execute, and you see it's pretty handy, and it is preserves also across instance. So if I hit exit and open again, it will preserve. So the history also is called the bash history because the program running is bash. You see it here. Preserves across access. This is a feature you don't have in PowerShell on Windows, because PowerShell doesn't preserve. So everything, or nowadays it does. I think now it can preserve history. Yes, I think now it can, but I think it's a new feature. Okay, it can do, no, okay.